for I don't know how long I've known you for, but I know
Years.
your parents, your brother, your sister-in-law, the family, the kiddos, your wife. So it's a pleasure to know all of y'all. But let's go ahead and have you introduce yourself. So just to recap to our listeners, we have Mr. Mark LaHood. He's an attorney at law, and he's the elect for State Representative 121. But let's go ahead and hear a little bit about you, whatever you want to tell the listeners about you and your family.
Well, that's an open-ended question. I mean, what do I say?
Mm-hmm.
Born
Only
and
what
raised,
you want to say.
born and raised San Antonio, through and through. I married my beautiful wife, met her to be 10 years this July. She changed my world, saved my world, brought me back to God. Taught me about family, love, faith. Got married. Now we have 4 kids.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got a senior in high school, so we're trying to figure out college where she's going to go, and then we have 3 that are 6 and under. So between that, juggling that, my wife is oil field and she's working hard. But then I'm proud to say that she's going to be La Reina Linda next year for Fiesta.
Oh
I
yeah.
know.
So
I'm
she's
super
raising money
excited
for
about that.
scholarships. Shameless plug.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Share the
Well, why
link.
don't you tell us how to find her then? How they can find her if they want to donate for that scholarship fund.
I don't have the website memorized, but it's La Reina Linda XI 11. Actually, my phone's
Well, you know what? We can share it after the show. We'll put it in the comments. That way, y'all can look that up and donate there to her cause. Because anything scholarship-wise, that means that whoever's on the receiving end of that scholarship, that they were in need.
very much so,
They're in
and
need.
she's putting a lot of focus on trade schools as well. So not just on the old school. Oh, too far away. Not just on universities, but trade schools, which
That's awesome.
are in short demand and only gonna get worse if we don't address it.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good to know. I actually have a collaboration with one of the trade schools, and they are working with the church to raise funds to send people from the south side and the west side to trade
Awesome.
school for free. So I'll have to touch base with Erica
Yeah.
on that. That's
That's
a great
awesome.
connection. Ooh, thank you.
That's how God works.
Yeah, in mysterious ways, and it's right in front of us, and we never even knew.
Absolutely.
All right, just to make sure that todo se oye bien, sí? Okay. So can you tell us about your why? Why did you decide to run for state rep? Because we knew you ran an excellent race for DA.
Yep.
You were well supported, and we championed you in that
I
effort.
appreciate it.
But unfortunately, it didn't come through, I guess, because God had a bigger purpose, and the bigger purpose was why? You tell us that.
Well, I mean, my why, quite frankly, is the same as why I ran for the DA race. My brother was the DA, my dad was a judge. And so for the last 10, 15 years, people would always ask me, "Hey, Mark, when are you going to run for office?" And my answer was not just no, but heck no. I'll never run for office ever. I just want to work, go home to my family. Getting married and having kids changes your perspective. Like I said, my oldest daughter's a senior in high school, and about 4 or 5 years ago, I told her, I said, "Baby, as long as there's life in my lungs, I'll do anything in my power to keep you safe and protect you, but I won't be here forever." And essentially, that's why I ultimately ran for DA and then for 121, because I want to make sure that Texas, our community, 121, our citizens, the people, are not just now, but in the future, are going to be freer, more successful, safer. I want to make sure that, what we're leaving for our children, our grandchildren, or if we're building something business-wise, what we're leaving and passing on is even better than when we came into it.
Wow, that's intense. Rocky, you have any questions so far? I mean, it's the truth, though, because that's why we do what we do also, is because we want to leave not only San Antonio, but Texas in a better place than we found it.
Amen.
Because so many people have gotten together to corrupt it or to ruin it.
Oh, it's
And we need, our freedom to be our freedoms and our constitutional rights to be our rights and our children's rights to stay intact
amen.
also. So it's important. That's a great reason as why you ran.
Yeah, and I think that's a common trait in leadership, and warriors. I like the word warriors. We've been saying the word warriors, right? You are one of those down home, homegrown warriors. You know what I mean? And that's what made it more emotional for us to back you up and do whatever we can possible to put the word out there to elect the right people, the
Thank you.
warriors, the people that want to do good for the right reasons, not for the wrong reasons. So, I mean, again, you're one of the leaders that, I've been watching from the sidelines, and I've learned a lot as well, you know what I mean? Very motivational, very inspirational. but we'll keep a little secret for a little bit later on down the line. But let you know that you are being watched. You are being, you know, you're just inspirational, man. Everything you're doing for the right reasons, and you know, it's just awesome. It's a great feeling to be around your vibration, around all the other leaders. Man, it's a beautiful thing, and we're gonna do whatever we got to do to support you in every way we can.
Thank you, and just keep praying. Like I said, you know, every day since I've won, every morning I say a prayer and I ask God for the courage to do what's right and not what's easy. You know, we haven't even been sworn in. We get sworn on the 14th, and I haven't even officially gotten to Austin yet. But I've already seen just how swampy it is and how easy it is to kind of just take a step forward and, you know, nudge it just a little bit, and just to always have the conviction to do what the right thing is and not, you know, what the self-serving or the easy thing is. And so I think if more people did that, we would have a lot more progress in life and in our politics, but we'll see.
Well, it's sad, though, that some people do all the hard work, they get there, and then they change. You know, they sell their soul to who knows who out there, but yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, plenty of experience.
Well, you know, you're going to find out. I think the two, not the best ways, but two surefire ways to find out what someone is made of is my brother used this line, I love it. You give them problems or you give them power. And with either one of those, you're going to kind of get a sense of who they really are. Their character comes out. And I think that's just kind of what we see in people.
Wow, that's inspirational.
Absolutely.
And your brother, Mr. Nicola Hood, just in case our listeners don't know who your brother is, but he's one of my fave too. I had the pleasure of coming out on a panel with him like a month and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was excited about that. And he was funny. He was making jokes while we were on stage, and I'm like, oh, my gosh.
I believe it.
And try to keep a straight face while you're being watched, you know, it was hard. But anyway, we ended up having a good time. And but tell us about, I know in the summertime you worked your, I would say, your assets off.
Yeah, that's a good
And
way
you had
of
a
putting it.
farmer stand, and I knew you were out there working. Tell us about the highs and lows of this past year through the election process, the journey. Like, what lessons did you learn, or any regrets, or any what do you call it? Words for someone who's about to go through that process.
You know, I would say that kind of like what Rocky was talking about earlier is first and foremost, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. Because before I got in this race, not just one person, I had many people say, don't run. You know, you're too conservative for 121. Steve, the guy that I challenged in the primary, is too powerful, too well liked. You know, 121, you can't get elected there. And if I would have done what I thought was the easy or the smart choice versus what I, in my heart, believed what the right choice was, I wouldn't have gotten in the race. And then had I not fought, I mean, you know, I don't mean fought ugly. I mean, I knocked, like you said, thousands of doors, got out and talked to as many people as I could to find out if their whys were the same as my why as to why we needed some change out here in the district. And just once you make that decision, go all in. Don't do it half-heartedly. It's like a fight, a physical fight. You can't get into it and went with one hand tied behind your back. If you're going to get into it, you have to go all the way through and through, and don't stop to the very end.
That's right. You can't just give up. So it was a tough process, but I was grateful to even meet some of your constituents and hear their stories while I was out in the field too. And I've actually met some really good people who became part of my network. So I'm grateful for that. But it's crazy how you can walk a neighborhood and everybody knows you and your entire family. They're like, oh, I know his mother, or oh, I went to church here, or I graduated with them, or you know, every house had a story of one of your family members, and it was shocking, you know. But I was like, well, thank God he's well known here, you know, because you know we worry about the stats and the numbers going through, but you know that was great. So any what are your plans now for the first? First you said you haven't been to the Capitol yet, so you.
Well, I've been there, but I haven't been. You know, we get sworn in on the 14th. Did
you pick out your desk and your office?
I have my floor desk. I have my office. Although we can't move in until the 11th of January. Got an apartment up there. Don't move in until the day before we get sworn in. But you know, the real party. Probably the wrong phrase, but the real interesting next step is going to be the speaker's race on the 14th.
Tell us about that. What you thinking? I have some inside cards hidden here, so I kind of have my feeling of who's going to win. But what do you think? You don't have to answer that either on air, but you can give a little bit of teaser if you want.
No. I mean, I don't think anyone knows what's ultimately going to happen. If again, like I said, I'm new to politics, but I'm not new to human relationships and just interactions. And so, 12 days is a long time. On the floor vote, people have to go out there and publicly vote a certain way. And so I think it could happen any one of three different ways. Whether it's David Cook or Dustin Burrows or someone else. I mean, time will tell. We'll find out one way or the other. Who do you think's going to win?
Oh, well,
Who are you betting on?
I don't think I'm not going to say that on the air because people will hold that against me. But what I wanted to say, speaking of that, is that I don't think that regular constituents should be angered by whoever y'all vote for. You know what I mean? Because you're in the House, you experience it, and you will know who do you believe in as the best candidate for the Speaker of the House. And I don't think that these other people, you got to remember, I was there last time when the Speaker of the House was chosen, and I was able to experience other state representatives be torn apart for who they voted for.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, like, did you call your state rep? Did you ask him why he voted for that person? Because don't just tear them apart if you don't even know the reason why, know?
No, that's pretty wise.
And so I myself, if I was there, if I was a state rep, this might come back to haunt me, but I'm going to say it anyway. If I was a state rep, I think that Cook is going to win. That's, that's just what my personal feelings of looking out. I'm looking in from the outside, right? So I'm not a state rep, but that's what I think. But who knows, I mean, it's going to be a good fight, and it's fun to watch. And I think that we should all be writing our tell-all because of all this drama that happens behind the house, But I mean, I love it. I enjoy politics to an extent, and then I get tired of it. I'm like, don't talk to me about politics. I'm done. So I go through like the roller coaster just right along with y'all because of my job, So it puts me right there in the middle, even when I'm tired and I'm like, I'm done with politics. Don't call me. And I want to go out with my friends, and I'm like, stop talking to me about politics.
And then you say, wait, why aren't we talking politics?
Yeah, then I'm like, well, did y'all hear about what happened?
Yeah.
So,
but in a nutshell, it's still very rewarding to be involved with politics, right?
Yes.
The reason I'm saying that is because one thing I did want to bring up is I have a couple people listening right now that we're not trying to coach them. They're interested in running for public office.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the big major things that we're trying to identify is we need more God-fearing people, more American patriots running for office because we have a lot of empty spots in the chain of command, right, of government, and we're trying to find the right people for those spots. So I have a couple of people listening right now, and if you don't mind, there's always ups and downs and everything, and they're not scared. They know it's going to be tough. But in your perspective, what kind of advice would you give somebody that's thinking about running? The biggest question when I do ask is they don't know what to do. They don't know the steps, the 1, 2s, and 3s. But nobody really actually does in the beginning, right? We learn that on the journey, right? And if you join the right party, then we have full support systems and people that are willing to help you, walk you through step by step, right? So what would you give advice to somebody that's thinking about running, whether it's a precinct chair or a city council seat or even mayor?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I would say first and foremost, get involved with your local politics. Like I said, for the DA race, I never thought I'd ever run for politics. I mean, I've always voted, I've always done my civic duty, but I never did anything. I'm embarrassed to admit it. I'm part of the problem. I voted and I was like, oh, I did my duty. Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of our duty, but our other part of our duty as citizens is to be involved, to be engaged, and to give back. Mm-hmm. And I think the first step is to be involved and be engaged because, one, it further commits you to your community. It further helps you serve. Mm-hmm. But as a practical matter, it's going to give you a little bit of an insight or a taste of what it is that you're ultimately dealing with. Mm-hmm. If it's local politics, volunteer, get involved with city council races, or volunteer as a clerk
like election clerk or something.
Election clerk, or volunteer with an actual elected official mm-hmm. In their office to get involved to learn a little bit about the ins and the day in day outs of the job, because most of that stuff no one ever talks about, no one ever sees, the headaches and the mundane and even the excitement. You read the blurbs or the news lines, but the day in day out is what the grind is what's gonna get you there and get you over that hump.
That's great advice. I didn't think about that, but yeah, just to get involved on the lowest level is volunteering, right? Get involved,
grassroots level.
grassroots level, learn the process and procedures, I mean, honestly, it's very simple. It's hard work, but the work isn't hard.
Yeah, exactly
what I
right.
mean? And as long as you have good, time management, if you have a business or a job, I think that's a great way. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, and y'all know it firsthand. Grassroots is the real power, and I think there's a dichotomy where they're trying to downgrade it and just focus on the money on the media. But the reality is, if we don't ever forget that we the people are the power, and the grassroots is the physical embodiment of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's where the real power lies, and just getting involved, building that army of real patriots and citizens that care, and that will put the hard work in and the timeless sacrifice. That's it.
That's awesome advice, because that's something that was consistent with all the races of the candidates, the real true patriot Americans that won the races, you included, is it was the grassroots that did it, because there wasn't money. Usually political science 101, correct me if I'm wrong, is a candidate with the most money always wins, and that's been the formula until now.
Yeah.
And we got to give it up to Donald J. Trump for breaking the mold. He's the one that taught the people that it's not about how much money you have, right? It's about the grit. Fighting every day, an inch by an inch, right?
Yep.
And that's what we saw, because we were worried. I mean, honestly, we helped a couple campaigns, and we're a little worried because we're gauging it off the wrong metrics, right? The overall metrics. But no, we broke the mold.
Yeah. No, there's a new paradigm now.
The mold,
Absolutely.
The new shift, the new tectonic
But we just
shift.
can't get complacent and let go of the gains that we've made.
Correct.
And to solidify that is we have to find the right leadership, the right leaders, the warriors, because we have good momentum right now. But the next step is finding the right people that want to fight for the right reasons.
Yep, and not the 15 minutes of fame. Yep.
Absolutely.
So then we don't lose what we've already what we've gained.
That's right. That's
Absolutely.
right.
And
Well,
we got 'em
guys,
on the run, man.
Amen. Amen.
so y'all hold that thought. We're gonna go to a quick commercial break, and then you'll be right back with hit it, Rocky.
Cyndi and Rocky talk San Antonio, the true Patriot voice. Welcome to Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio, your trusted voice of the Patriot, bringing you the latest news, impactful stories, and interviews that matter most. Together we amplify the voice of the people, and together we drive conversations that make a difference. Stay tuned, because the heartbeat of San Antonio starts right here. Welcome to Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio, your trusted voice of the Patriot, bringing you the latest news, impactful stories, and interviews that matter most. Together we amplify the voice of the people, and together we drive conversations that make a difference. Stay tuned, because the heartbeat of San Antonio starts right here. Welcome to Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio, your trusted voice of the Patriot, bringing you the latest news, impactful stories, and interviews that matter most. Together we amplify the voice of the people, and together we drive conversations that make a difference. Stay tuned, because the heartbeat of San Antonio starts right here. Welcome to Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio, your trusted voice of the Patriot, bringing you the latest news, impactful stories, and interviews that matter most. Together we amplify the voice of the people, and together we drive conversations that make a difference. Stay tuned, because the heartbeat of San Antonio starts right here. Welcome to Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio, your trusted voice of the Patriot, bringing you the latest news, impactful stories, and interviews that matter most. Together we amplify the voice of the people, and together we drive.
Hey guys, welcome back. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio show. Rocky, I wanted to say hi to some of our watchers that are on Facebook.
Yeah.
They're on the La Nuestra 11:30 a.m., 92.5 FM, and they're watching live. Say hi to Remy Martin and our photographer, Anna Urabazo. And your wife is watching. Say hi, Yvette.
She's always watching. What are you doing?
There you go. Hey. And then Enrique in El Paso is watching. Hey, Enrique. Let us know if you want to come on air. Well, I'll give you the phone number so you can come in and say hi. But anyway, so back to what we were talking about. I was making jokes right now that if Mr. State Representative Mark LaHood needs help moving, that we have Rocky in the house.
Oh my God.
He's showing pictures on social media of his big muscles. I said, put him to work. Put him to work. Let him move. Let him flex those muscles.
Tell him why. Because somebody said, man, they saw me without a suit on because I'm always in a suit. And they said, man, I thought you were fat. I'm like, no, it's just a suit, man. Don't let the suit fool you.
Anyway, so if you need a hand, there you go. You can ask him right now. Get that
for
commitment
tacos.
on air. There you go. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Work for tacos. All right. So we're just recapping with Mr. Mark LaHood. He's an attorney here local in San Antonio, and he just won the seat for state representative. He'll be sworn in on January the 14th in the House of Representatives, and we're here interviewing him live on the radio. So if y'all have any questions y'all want to ask, you can drop them in the comments here on Facebook, and or we'll check the Cyndi and Rocky page in just a minute. But let's go ahead and continue. So what's the big plan for the first 100 days?
Well, the first plan, like I said, is to figure out what happens with the speaker race, because that's going to depend ultimately on chairmanships, vice chairmanships, committees, whether or not the Senate and the House are at odds, and whether or not we have a productive session or not. God willing, like I said, I didn't run to be a martyr. I ran to do some positive and some good. So God willing, we can tackle some of the things that we all were focused on, right? I mean, thank God Trump's back in office. Hopefully the border will be handled federally, and then we can get focusing more on the ins and outs of Texas, whether that's our property taxes. I personally, I'm a prepper, and so for me, one of the things I really like is Mark DeRazio has a bill, the bullion bill. The gold and silver reserve. I want to make sure we focus on our water. I mean, no one really talks about water, but water is not just for development, it's the lifeblood. So there's a lot of stuff like that.
What? Nobody talking about water?
We have a water expert right next to you. We talk about it every episode. We talk about water. Seriously.
I know.
We do.
He's so good. He sold me twice.
Good.
Twice
And
the
he's
first
doing
time.
his job, right? There you go. He's doing his job then. So with that plug, Rocky, you want to talk about about our water real quick?
Real quick, we've been ever since we announced the last show. We're reaching out to people with health and wellness. We got a couple feedback from some people suffering from pain. We had a client with Bell's palsy and all this stuff. And if you really break down all the diseases, like I've done some research and I broke it down to lowest common molecule, and then you figure out acid and alkaline mixtures, and it's just crazy stuff. The water is so contaminated, guys. It's ridiculous. Like, everybody knows it is, but they don't know to what extent. So that's why I joined the Water Brigade, right? The water campaign 10 years ago, because I found a major connection between the quality of the water and people's long-term health and wellness or sicknesses. And not to go into the field of a fear mongering. I don't want to scare people in order to produce a water filtration system cell, but I'm the one that I put the two and two together. I connected the dots. So if you go to the internet and just Google San Antonio Water Systems Water Quality Report, you'll have a report on there that they do every 5 or 6 years, and it tells you exactly what's in there. There's anywhere from disinfectants, disinfection byproducts to
Microplastics?
It's more than that. It's radioactive. Radioactive uranium is in the water. Not just lead and copper.
Disgusting.
It's radioactive. And then what you do is you have to cross-reference those elements that they found in the water that tell you it's in the water, cross-reference it to the EPA handbook. The EPA actually tells you all the medical conditions, all the diseases that those elements produce through long-term exposure. And long-term exposure is to the tune of 20, 30 years. So all the chemicals in the water doesn't hurt you right away.
Yeah.
So, but they absorb like microplastics into your bodies, your bones, your muscles, and they stay collectively until it gets too much, and then you sprout a cancer or a disease, and you don't know why. Nobody knows why, because nobody goes back 20, 30 years, right? So that's why I'm very passionate about it. We were able to identify high contamination level in some of our viewers and watchers in their house, and a couple of them were over 500 parts per million. Now, the EPA says that over 500 parts per million is not supposed to be drinkable or bathable. And they were in the 600s and the 700s.
Oh, wow.
And that's right here in San Antonio. That's not even
And
like
all
a
their kids have
remote
skin
location.
issues and autism, and they don't know why. They have all immune system problems, and it's because of the water. So we had some great results this past weekend.
How do you test the water?
There's only two ways to test the water that nobody really talks about, which makes the difference between a water softener and a water filtration system. Big major difference that nobody is talking about, and maybe we can talk later off air of how we can change that. We need to change the law, because the law currently does not differentiate the definition between softener and filtration system.
Really?
So they bundle it up together.
Sorry.
And most people that buy a water softener, they believe it's a water filtration system, and it's not. It's not categorized as water filtration. All it is a salt system that puts salt in the water,
Yeah.
make the water feel soft, and that's it. If I go ahead and test those waters, they're contaminated like crazy. You know what I mean? So the one test you want to do is a TDS test, total dissolved solids. It's a little meter. It's like $30, $40. You can buy it on Amazon. Everybody should have one. Test your own water, and you can see the level of contamination, because it tests the particles per million that's not water, that's solid. The next step after that is to do a electrolysis test. You know, shock it with electrolysis. That's the only way you can separate the water molecule from H2O. Everybody remembers H2O. Separate H2O. Oxygen goes in the air. Hydrogen burns. If it's pure water, the water only turns yellow. But all the other chemicals and byproducts that are in the water you cannot see. They don't know what to do, so they're off balance, so they clump together, and you see all the chemicals in your water right before your eyes.
Wow.
It's disgusting.
Very disgusting, but nobody knows.
You should make a video of that.
We have plenty
does,
of videos.
yeah, it has
And
videos.
guess-
Oh, really?
That test right there normally costs about $79.99. And guess what? I offer that test for free for anybody. Anybody. You think you have clean water for your health and your kids and your pets? Let's test it, because it's disgusting.
It's gross.
And
Yep.
people that live in the they have well water. They live out there in the country. Back in the days, they used to be the best water because it had minerals and all that good stuff. But nowadays, those are testing 800, 900, 1,000 particles per million.
It's-
Because where do you think all the chemicals are coming from? From the air, right?
Wow.
All the chemtrails, where do you think those chemicals go? They go in the ground, get absorbed, and you're bathing in it. And you don't know why you're getting sick.
Wow.
So,
It's a true, like, what's that movie with Julia Roberts? It's like really one of those movies here locally. So,
Brockovich.
Brockovich.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brockovich.
yeah.
Aaron Brockovich. So we have our own Rocky Garcia Brockovich. But yeah, we always talk about the water here, so it's disgusting, right? And not only water, but on January 13th, I'm going to be talking about energy, oil,
Amen.
nuclear, solar. So I'm bringing it not only at the local level, at the oil field level, at the state level, and at the federal level. And we got it covered. Like, so this is why we're here. We're here because we want to inform everyday people to learn about what's going on in our community, what's going on, you know, how the government is infringing upon our own rights to have clean water, have clean soil, have clean food without additives. You know, it's important. This is really
it's all
important
right.
to us. Mhm.
It's all right. We deserve
We're
it.
being poisoned every bite, every drink.
Yeah.
You know, and it's horrible.
And it's all connected. Everything's connected, from politics to energy to health and wellness to insurance. It's all connected.
Yep. So when people tell me like, "Oh, Cyndi, I don't want to talk politics," and I said, "Do you go to the grocery store?" I said, "Politics is in your eggs, in your carrot, in your farm, in the
And the
dirt,
price
in
to
what
pay.
you're eating, and the price that you're paying, you know, and
Yeah.
the economy." I said, "You pump gas, right? You got to go to work. You're pumping gas in your car." I said, "That's politics." I said, "That is
Everything.
politics. Everything. The way your kids are educated. People don't understand that." politics is so integrated
Yeah.
into everything that we do. So, I mean, we'll talk a little bit, right?
I
A
like
little
how you
bit
said
more.
that. No, that's true. I mean, politics,
is.
it really is, 'cause life is controlled by it. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, everything.
And that's why it's so important to raise awareness, right?
Exactly.
In every corner of San Antonio, everything matters. And that's actually one of the major reasons why me and Cyndi, we decided to do this radio show. Like, you know what, it just fell in our lap, the opportunity, and I was like, heck no, I don't want to be on the radio. You know, I've never been on the radio. You know, I don't know what I sound like on the radio. But we took it because it was necessary. We see a void in the community, and the void is knowledge, right? Everybody does a little bit, and this is what we're doing. And again, we appreciate
awesome.
you showing on the show, coming on the show. Every little bit we can inspire, motivate, or direct the people,
Yeah.
you know, to a better quality of life. That's the purpose of the whole show.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And I'll tell you one thing. I had to bring this up because I always work on the 7 mountains of influence, which I think that you should probably think about this daily. Not only you, but everybody here, about family, religion, education, media, arts and entertainment, business, and government. So we have to be involved in all those 7 pillars, because if we let one go,
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened to our education system. If we let one of those pillars go, we're going to lose an entire culture, an entire society, an entire system, and someone else is going to be more active in
Yeah.
that. So we can't be weary or grow weary. Like, we have to look to each other for the strength. So that's why it's important for us to
Amen.
have you on here, because we want you to share with the people that they are needed. Their voice does count, and it does matter. And so now, with my next question, I want to ask you,
Okay.
what is some important legislation or initiatives that you're looking forward to? Like, what are those topics that you're looking forward to hearing, you know, that
Well, obviously,
HB has passed, you know, whatever it is, whatever it's going to be.
Well, obviously, I mean, the one that I campaigned most loud about was school choice. And speaking of your 7 pillars, I mean, it's tied directly to it. You know, we always forget, what we don't talk about is the children of today are not just the leaders of tomorrow. It's the citizens of tomorrow, the employers, the employees, and the world is literally going to be in their hands. And we got to be careful, you know, who and what we are raising up. You know, at the end of the day, we can't legislate parents and how most of the decisions that parents make in their children's lives, but we can have a footprint on what our children are being taught in schools and not being taught in schools. You know, our kids aren't being taught how to think, and I'm not talking about, again, not talking about a degree, just how to think for
Critical
themselves,
thinking, yeah.
how to reason through a problem, how to be, you know, self-sufficient and free in every sense of the word. You know, our kids aren't taught how to think. You know, my oldest daughter was 8 when I met her, and I started doing homework with her. 8 is what, 2nd grade. And, you know, we're doing homework, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. And I say back then because I don't think they give kids books anymore. But at the time, she still had a book. And so there'd be a problem on the top corner, and then all the questions you're supposed to do, you know, based on that. And if it wasn't exactly like that first one, she couldn't figure it out because they weren't teaching her the logic or the reasoning behind what the mathematical equation was. But you know, the mathematics was. It was just copy and paste.
Yeah.
And so we got to make sure that's probably my number one priority, is making sure that we empower parents to do what they believe is best for their child, and to make sure that our children are being educated. But tied to that, you know, I think the biggest lie that I've had to encounter is people ask me 2 questions. You're conservative, you're against education. And I'm like, I'm sorry, no disrespect, but I think only one party raises and solidifies that you should have a healthy distrust of your government, because you want to make sure that your government doesn't have too much power that they can abuse, that you make sure your government doesn't take your rights from you.
That's right.
And, you know, that's issue number one. But on top of that, I would say that what also isn't talked about is how important, on the flip side, our teachers are, making sure that our teachers are taken care of and compensated, and we're recruiting good teachers that are doing great jobs for it. And I don't believe that school choice and taking care of our teachers are at odds. So that's probably my biggest priority is proving and showing that the two aren't at odds, and the two can flourish and be even more successful.
Well, that's a good way of putting it. I like the way you said we're going to have a footprint on there, but me, I don't want the footprint. I'm kind of going for the chokehold, you know? Like, we're going to take this. We have to win. There's no way. We have to win. And you probably don't know this, but I'll share this with you right now. Like, I am actively training, and I call it 100 strong, even though I'm going to have more than 100 people. 100 strong people who are going to be educated on how to use their personal story to testify to help bring those House bills into
Amen.
change. You know what I mean? So, and that's
So what are
coming
some
up
of your
on January
priorities?
11th. My personal priorities?
No,
or
you said you're going to bring 100 people to go testify.
on education and school choice, universal school choice, and helping put our children's education back in parents' hands.
Yeah.
So, yep, and that's why we championed you. You know what I mean? Because we knew, I had already spoken to the other person, and I knew exactly where he stood. So,
Well, it goes back to what you were asking me before. Everyone told me that, school choice isn't something, it doesn't poll or whatever.
it did in
And-
your area. It did.
Well,
I had
no,
the poll
but
numbers.
they told me that it didn't. And they, don't camp. I said, no, I'm campaigning on what I believe.
Yeah.
Not, again, not what is easy, not what is safe, not what the smart, do what you believe is right. And look what happened, so amen to that.
I'm grateful that you fought for our children, because our children's minds are at stake. And if they're, I have 3 kids. I'm going to tell you 2 of them made it out alive without that horrific curriculum, and 1 did not. And I can see the difference. All my children were raised the same, but by the time my baby got through high school, she was taught things that I would never, ever have taught her, or never, ever agreed upon, not only religiously, but scientifically. And I can never erase that from my child's brain.
Yeah.
And it's sad, because I still see the effects till today,
Yeah.
So, and it's sad. So I'm glad that you're protecting our children at the education level. And what's the next one? What else? You're a criminal attorney, so you got to be looking forward to like criminal justice reform, or, hoping that they put you on, what committee do you want to be on? That's a good one. Like, depending on which committee you're on, that's like a checkmate to some people, So I'm ready. I'm stalking you. I'm watching you to see where you're going to be.
I've got about 20 things that I'm very passionate about. But I'm a firm believer, like anything else in life, right? If you try and put your hands in too many pots, you will do them all very poorly, as opposed to just focusing on 1 or 2 or 3 things and doing them exceptionally well. In a perfect world, some of my passions, again, not just with water, our grid, making sure that our grid is not just secure physically and from cyber attack, but also from kinetic attacks, sustainability. I'm always frustrated that we have a national oil and gas reserve, but we don't have one for our own. There's only 3 grids in the country. There's a Western, Eastern, and Texas has its own grid. Yeah. Why doesn't Texas have its own reserve to make sure that it is sustainable, that it's never going to go down?
We should.
Making sure that, first and foremost, along with that, is that we are growing healthy food. One of my pet projects that may never get around, but I would love to get an acre of land in the district and have a garden on it for the children to get, not even just children, but especially children, to get involved.
Anybody want to donate that acre? Y'all contact Mr. Mark LaHood.
We don't have
We'll
to
look
donate,
forward
just
to
let
it.
us use it.
Or let us use it.
But,
Let us cultivate it. That's
but put
awesome.
chickens out there, and because our kids are on their phones all day. They're not.
Yeah. I'm tired of it.
They're not out in the sun. They're not getting their hands dirty. They're not learning these core. Growing up, I lived outside the woods, and there's something beautiful. My wife makes fun of me because I used to have chickens, and before I had a bunch of kids, I had a lot of plants. I had about 80 or 90 plants I was growing.
That's
but
cool.
But I loved it because my 2-year-old would come out there with me, shoveling dirt or working the compost or trimming, watering. But there's something beautiful that children don't realize, or that they don't realize they're missing out on, getting out and growing something themselves, and taking part in it.
And having pride in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, check this out. I was part of a sales organization, and that was one of our leaders' suggestions is we're going to take you guys to the farm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And actually, just to let you know that the food bank, the American Food Bank here in San Antonio, they have a big farm.
They do.
They have a huge farm, and we were out there tilling the soil, putting the plants, and doing the work. It's hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what? If you have a dream of doing that, that's a good way to start. You know what I mean?
Well, he said in his district, so it's a little more specific as to the map.
Well, at the end of the day, I put it anywhere we could.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Well, we should contact
when
the
I went
city
out there
council.
and visited them, I was telling them, I said, that's what I've wanted for years now, because again, I just saw it with my own kids, them getting involved, them getting excited, and then of course I'd like to add to it, some basic bushcraft skills, knot skills, just basic
Love
stuff
it.
that children don't know that are really super,
That's cool.
important. Another passion, child related, is our CPS system is completely broken.
It is.
And it needs to be revamped. Our elderly
so sad.
are forgotten. I mean, there's just so much that we could do as our state that we don't. This last session we grew our budget by 25%. Even the feds didn't do that. Right? Texas is supposed to be fiscally conservative, and we spent more, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we need to cut the fat and get back to the basics. Our government should be focusing on the primal duties that it's created for, and then let us citizens do what we have to do with our freedom to be successful.
Exactly.
Sorry,
No, I love it.
Worked up.
No, and that's the way it should be, because you're passionate about it. And one thing I always say is you cannot create passion in someone. You either have it or you don't. So I'm grateful that you're passionate. Because if not,
You're on the right track. You know what I mean? But everybody needs a strong leader, right? If you want to empower the masses, you got to be that strong leader, and that's what you're doing. And you mentioned some pet projects you want to hopefully do one day. Well, guess what? Let's write it down. Once you write it down, it becomes a subconscious contract, right?
Yeah.
And we can actually help you with that and help you organize something, because
I like that. It's cool.
because it's all about responsibility. I do business consulting and all that, and I get a lot of people, I want to do this business, I want to do that business. I said, did you do the research? Did you research other businesses that they're doing the same thing, or what makes you special? And a lot of people don't do the research, right? But example of what you're talking about, giving the people, on the local level, the city or the state, responsibility to do their own thing. China's been doing that forever. I mean, I've seen some videos where the children, they don't have no janitors. The children make their own food, clean their own floors, their own toilets. I mean, and look at their quality.
and here we have to introduce it like the Montessori way, but actually they should be doing that on their own without having a specific theorist.
It should be ingrained. I mean, there are studies upon studies that show that children that have grown up with chores and responsibilities and duties are statistically more successful later in life, because it's just, they're not entitled. And
Dude, I just got a vision. What about coming up with a citizen report card? How about that? Huh? Tell the people, look, to be a good citizen, you have to do this, this, and that. This many hours here, this many hours here. Hey, let's call everybody out. You know what? Not a lot of people are going to do it, but if a small portion of it, I think they will take it on as a civil challenge.
Yeah.
I think we could it just downloaded right now, that vision. Let's have a civil challenge. Why not?
That's cool.
Let's be the first to do it. What's your score?
Yeah.
Did you donate so many hours to community, to the legal department, to the political department? What did you do? What did you learn? Let's do a test. I
like that.
I would post that on social media as a pride trophy. Pride. Like, look what I did. Look what we're doing. But we're doing it to change the culture a little bit. We're doing a great job as we are so far. But imagine if we took.
You can always push it further.
Push it a little bit further. Why not?
Yep.
I
Alrighty.
like
Why
that.
not?
I like that.
Seriously.
All right. Well, Rocky
And
started up.
started
Rocky.
that by moving me on the 14th.
Right.
Hey.
All right, guys. So we have 5 minutes left. So let's take a quick 3 minutes.
Sorry.
So what call to action do you have for the people, the listeners? What do you want to say to them to activate them or get them to be supportive, not only for your district, but for all of Texas and all of San Antonio? Like, we have to take care of our own, like we said, backyards, our own, what's going on here, and keep the government limited and out of our pocketbooks and out of our lives. But how do you want the constituents to be activated? What's your call to action?
I mean, we already kind of talked about it. I guess my first question would be, are you happy with the way things are? And if you are, well, I guess then it is what it is, right? You're happy with how it is. If you're not, you have two options. You can complain about it and do nothing, or you can get involved. And the best way of getting involved, like I said, is volunteering, not just at the local level, but that's the easiest way. But getting involved, participating within it, not being afraid to have conversation. When I grew up, I was always taught you don't talk religion or politics. And I think that's part of the problem, because we always sat back as conservatives and said, "Oh, people are going to realize how crazy that idea is, and they're gonna wake up. They're going to realize." But there's this. I think it was Goebbels said it: the big lie. If you tell a lie big enough, you tell it often enough, the people will believe it.
Yep.
And so the best way to combat that, and Trump started it by being loud about it, is not being afraid to talk about what you believe, right? Because they're going to try and counsel us for disagreeing. You can disagree respectfully. That's one of the problems, is now generations can't disagree without taking it personal, right? It's not, you might disagree with me, and I might disagree with you. It ain't personal. You just believe differently than I do.
That's right.
And we have zero chance of converting them if we don't communicate with them, embrace them, and showing them. So I would say that the two biggest ones are getting involved, communicating, and then back to kind of tie it back together with Rocky saying about being a warrior, is having the courage to do it, because there is going to be pushback, right? I mean, whether it's social media or whatever it is, but if you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and you're consistent, and you do it the right way, you're going to prevail. God will prevail.
Amen to
God
that.
always wins.
Amen.
Right.
That's
always
it.
right.
I love it. Those are great words to live by. I hope everybody's taking notes.
I am. And then I took a note here that I need to invite Erica to January 13th. I'm having an energy and oil forum, so I'll be excited.
You should.
I'll be excited to have her there. Yeah.
You should.
I love it. I love it. So any final words? We got like 2 more minutes and then we're out.
No, thank y'all for everything y'all have done, for y'all's help, for y'all's sacrifice. I mean, just seriously, y'all were instrumental in so many races, mine included, and I appreciate it. You know,
thank you for that.
and keep doing what you're doing, and make sure you hold everyone accountable. Like I said when I was campaigning, I said, if I don't keep my word, fire me. And that's probably the last thing we asked earlier, is I would tell people, if you're elected servants, remember, we're servants. We're not leaders per se. The district or position doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the people. And if who you elect is not doing their job, or they're not serving you properly, fire them. And if we fired more elected officials, shockingly, they would keep more promises.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, because he said that, that's actually what we were talking about the last time, is that there's going to come a time this year in 2025 where politics is going to be truly transparent with the integration of AI.
Yeah.
And we're going to keep that project on a low, but you hit the
We'll talk
nail
about
on
it
the
later
head.
this month.
You hit the nail on the head, and
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Amen.
It's going to happen.
Amen.
Yep.
So-
So just a real quick, I just want to say a quick congratulations to our local officials. Let's see here, that just won for the 4th Court of Appeals. We had some of them on our show, and some of the rest of them are going to be coming on. But congratulations to Lori Valenzuela, Lori Massey Brissett, Adrian Spears, Todd McCrae, and Velia J. Mesa. They are now honorable justices.
Yeah,
We're here for the 4th Court of Appeals. So that was a super
That's right.
exciting, historic moment. And I know me and Rocky also went through that process with one of them, with Miss Lori Ann Brissett. And her race was just as much stress as yours, and more. But Lujan's took the cake. That was the most stressful thing ever.
Well, you know, I told John, I said, you know, it's a blessing, John, because now you're the Teflon John.
Teflon
Because
John.
they threw everything at
Teflon
him.
Don.
Teflon John. He went from tough Tejano to Teflon
Hey,
John.
they threw everything at him, and
They
he didn't
did.
just win; he won decisively.
Yes, love it.
So I'm happy for him. He's
And
good
with class.
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't bring out all the negative and
No.
the negative with anybody else. He played
He's a
clean
class
role.
act.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
We
I
love
was
John.
telling him, you got to say this. We found this out. No,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
gonna play it clean. I was
I
like,
had to hold Rocky back one day when the other candidate was in our proximity. I was like,
I was
Rocky,
all,
oh no, Rocky,
"They're all lies."
we're not going to jail today, but if we do, call Mark. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, we gotta tune out. Rocky, you want to take us out? And thank you for Mr. Mark LaHood for being present on Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio. And we'll put La Reina Linda link whenever we log off the show. We'll put that in the comments so y'all can check that out.
Absolutely.
Take
All
us out,
right.
Rocky.
Thank you, everybody, for taking us home with you on the drive home every Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. Again, we love you. We couldn't have done none of this stuff without you. Our watchers and our viewers and our listening audiences are getting bigger and bigger every week, so we appreciate that truly from the bottom of my heart. And again, we're just trying to be the true patriot voice. So on that, this is Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio, the true patriot voice. And we're out.
We're out. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Cyndi and Rocky Talk San Antonio. We hope you found today's conversations inspiring, informative, and empowering. Remember, our community grows stronger when we work together and share ideas and solutions. Stay connected with us on social media and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, this is Cyndi and Rocky signing off. Take care, stay involved, and keep making a difference together.